my name is Lily, and Brianna and Hannah and I are going to be teaching your art lessons this summer. We are really excited for what we have in store for you guys. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So I know, even me included, a lot of us are probably sick of having classes online, and I really don't blame you. For me personally, it's hard to stay motivated, but we want these lessons to be different, and we really want them to be fun. So I believe, especially during a time like this, that art can be really a therapeutic way to channel your creativity. So in order to help you guys achieve this, we have 5 different projects that we're putting together for you. This is the first. So taking an art class at home can be a little bit tricky, but we want to help to show you guys different ways to stay creative, and I believe this can really be a good tool to carry with you forward into high school and college and pretty much any time. So in order to do this, we have a bag of supplies that you guys all should have received. And in that you'll find some scissors and pad of paper, etc. But at the same time, you can be as resourceful as you want to be. If you have some extra colored pencils that you want to use or some paint, you're more than welcome to use whatever materials you have around you. But for the lessons, we don't require you to use any other materials than what we have in the bag. That being said, for our first lesson that we're going to be doing, we don't have the same supplies that you guys have as of right now, but as the lessons continue, we're going to be using the same materials. So when we make our demonstrations, you'll see that we're using slightly different ones, but you're still going to be able to find those things in your your toolbox. So with this bag of supplies, for our first lesson, we're going to be creating visual journals. And I know a lot of you guys have probably used sketchbooks in your class, perhaps, or you at least know what they are. But this is going to be slightly different because we're going to be making them by hand. We're also going to be making them really personalized, so you can actually decorate the cover, and that's part of the lesson for today. So with a visual journal, I think it's a really important way to document your thoughts and your ideas. And this is going to be something that we continue to use throughout the rest of the summer. So in order to make your visual journal, we put together 3 different ways you can make it. So Brianna, Hannah, and myself all made a little demonstration of different ways you can make the visual journal. And then with that, there are 3 different ways that will demonstrate how you can potentially decorate your surface, so like decorate the cover. So I mentioned before that we're using slightly different materials for this lesson, but in your bag of supplies you should have a pad of paper, and on the back of that pad of paper is like a cardboard surface. It's a little bit more hard. And that's what we encourage you guys to use for the front and back cover when making your own journal. And then the paper inside of that, as well as potentially some scissors and string and the needle that you have in there as well. But you'll see a little bit more when you watch the demonstrations just how we do that, and you can kind of pick and choose which way you like best. So before you watch those little demonstrations, next, Hannah is going to explain the history of bookbinding and an artist that might help further inspire you. And then Brianna will close us out and explain the significance of these new journals and what we're going to be using them for in the coming few weeks. So as a whole, I am really excited for these lessons. I'm excited to do them with you guys, and I'm really excited to see what you guys do. And I really want to encourage you guys to get as into this as you can, because I think it really will be a fun way to spend your time this summer. We can't wait to see what you guys make. Good luck.
Hello everyone! So, hi! So I'm Hannah, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the history of bookbinding. It's going to be a super brief history, but I'll let you know what I got. Okay, so first, a definition of bookbinding. I feel like the word itself kind of tells you the definition of what it is. It's the binding together of a book. Hopefully we all know what a book is. But officially, the definition is the joining together of leaves, paper, parchment, etc. between covers to make a book. Pretty straightforward. So it feels like books have kind of been around since forever, but that's not necessarily true, even though it's kind of hard to track because we used to keep records in books, so it's hard to tell when exactly books like started being a thing. But the first books that we can trace back were actually found in India around 100 BCE, where religious sutras were copied onto palm leaves and then bound with twine. The first books that I guess we could probably recognize today were actually these super elaborate altar books found in churches in Egypt. And some of these books were covered in jewels and ivory and embroidery, but the most common were bound in leather, which is something we also see still today. But let's talk a little bit about modern bookbinding. So the three main types of bookbinding that we see today are punch and bind bookbinding, thermally activated bookbinding, and stitched or sewn bookbinding. So punch and bind is the same kind of thing you do when you staple two pieces of paper together. Technically that is punch and bind, because you are punching in those staples. So punch and bind is done by punching holes through the covers and the papers and then threading it together with a wire, plastic or metal spiral, a staple, or anything else. Thermally activated binding is what we think of. The first thing I think of with that is glue. So like a good old-fashioned hot glue gun, usually done with paperback books, and it's typically done with glue or tape as well. So stitched or sewn, which if you guys stick around for my demo, you'll guys see me do that. Stitched or sewn is, again, I'm sure very self-explanatory, but where you are threading together the covers and the paper all together with a thread and a needle. So yeah, so that's kind of like, I guess, a history and kind of modern inkling to what bookbinding is today. But I want to talk about someone from the past again. I'm going to talk to you guys today about Douglas Cockerell. Douglas was born in 1870 in London, England. He wrote a book later in his life called Bookbinding and the Care of Books. And this book is something that we still look at today with all these really crazy, intricate, and complex ways of bookbinding and threading. And like, this was like his life's work. So this was his thing, was trying to find like ways to make books last as long as they possibly could. We actually have a lot to thank him for in terms of how we see books today. Yeah, Douglas, what a swell man. So he's someone we really look to as to what a proper book would be. But I also want to talk to you guys a little bit about bookbinding in the terms we see it today and maybe the art world. So honestly, if you guys want to see some really awesome examples, if you guys have a Pinterest account, I don't know, I feel like that sounds cheap just to be like, go look on Pinterest, but I so mean it. I so mean it. Truly, when I'm looking for inspiration for a next project, or I want to find like a cool new way to bookbind or sew or stitch or do whatever, I go to Pinterest. I don't know if Pinterest is cool or not anymore, but I still think it's cool, but I highly recommend Pinterest. Here I'm going to show you guys 3 modern bookbinding journaling artists who I pulled from Pinterest. So the first one is Ruth Bleakley. I really loved her cover. I thought it was super creative, and I love how it continues along the spine. So that's an idea you guys could run with for this. Melissa Thies? Yeah, we'll try that. I thought this was such a cool idea. We didn't provide you guys with any pocket protectors, but I thought this was so cool. This was a travel journal that she made, and she put a little pocket in her journal, so like if she was like on the beach and she was like, yo, this is an awesome seashell, I'm gonna keep this seashell. I thought that was so creative. And then Heidi Burton. I thought this was really cool, and I've done this before as well, but little windows in your covers, like a little peekaboo into your book. I think that's also a good idea. These are just 3 that I pulled just from a little bit of searching around. I highly recommend you guys like look around and do some of your own soul searching. But yeah, I'm so excited to see what you guys make this week. Best of luck to you guys, and stick around for the demos.
Hey there everybody, my name is Brianna and I'll be concluding our first session today and talking a little bit about our visual journals that you all made today and why they're important and why we wanted you all to make these as our first lesson for Upward Bound. So, like I said, I'm Brianna and I shared the Japanese 4-hole bookbinding technique. Here's my journal that I made, and I went ahead and I started using some markers to color on the front cover, and I'll probably color on it some more later. But Hannah and Lily also shared with you all a couple different techniques and how you can maybe make your journal. But we really wanted you all to learn how to make a visual journal just because for the sake of the class and also for the sake of your future, because I love working in visual journal or just a journal. It's a great place to draw or write or plan or visually put your ideas on paper and visually put your thoughts on paper. And we wanted you all to be able to work in these journals as you progress through each of our lessons. And so you might use these journals as a place to jot down some ideas for projects we want you all to be doing, or even if you just want to pull out your journal every now and then in between classes or whatnot and just write or draw, or you can paint, or you can do whatever you want because it's your visual journal. But we just wanted you all to be able to have that opportunity to work in a visual journal because they're really awesome. And there's, like I said, there's so much you can do with a visual journal. I just think it's a really great way to also, it's more so therapeutic, honestly. It's just a great place to go to if you're feeling overwhelmed, or even if you're not feeling overwhelmed and you just are feeling great and you want to write down memories that you have, or if you want to, draw a picture of whatever, but it's a wonderful place to go because it's yours and it's very personal. But like I said, I'm so excited to be working with you guys this summer. Lily and Hannah and I are also really stoked to continue making lessons for you guys. And but like I said, visual journals, they're great. I hope that you can get as much out of them this summer and beyond that as we have in the past. So, bye!